Statement.
Yes, very excited about getting back into practice. Great to get back into ball, get back on the practice field. Spring is always a great time. It's about fundamentals. It's about getting back to basics. It's getting back to practicing until you not do it right, till you can't do it wrong, and learning makes your assignments, your alignments, your leverages, your steps, which is football. It always is. But spring is about that. It's about great competition, guys going out and competing hard every day, practicing hard every day, developing great habits, and keep starting the basis of your first unity as a team, understanding how to do that. On the field, we've done that so far in January, February, and a little bit of March, and now we get back out there to get ready to play. It's always an exciting time. Look forward to it, and guys seem to be energetic. Things have gone well, seems like so far. But we have to go out there on the field, and we have to execute and create great habits to allow us to have success. Play with great alignments, great assignments, great techniques, give great effort, which allow us to execute, which at the end of the day is what it's all about. But at the end of the day, football gets back to blocking, tackling, leverage, low man wins, hand placement, hat placement, steps, angles, leverages, and that's what it all is. And that's what you're seeing right now. It's like you're watching in the NCAA tournament. The teams that are fundamentally sound are the ones that move, and just like in wrestling. I watched the wrestling as much as I did, probably more so than I did basketball. Watch the NCAA championships. Guys that way you can't blame it on nobody else. Those guys there are beat to a different drummer now. That stuff there is fun to watch. And you watch those guys, and the fundamental guys, the guys that can handle pressure and the guys that can do things in the big moments are the guys that are totally fundamentally sound, and that's what at the end of the day it's about. And we have to do this spring, and that's our goal this spring, to focus on that and do things. I had a few guys that will be out for spring that will be back be back in the end of spring, say May or June, be back to go. Hunter Erb, of course Bryce because of his surgery and he's throwing. Matthew Wyckoff, Trey Zune, Max Wright will all be, and Deuce Harmon, but Deuce will be out just a little bit, but he'll be getting back into the mix, as will Jaden Platt. Jaden Platt had a surgery before he came that he's still just getting over that, and he'll start off slow and get back, but he should be with us before the spring is over. So that'll be it. Questions?
Second row on right.
Jimbo, how much difference will there be in the offense, and how much control?
We ain't worried about. Here's what we're doing.
How much control does Bobby have?
We're running our thing. We're going to be base fundamentals. We ain't getting into scheme. We ain't getting into anything. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to practice and what we're going to do on a daily basis.
When do you have to get into scheme?
What we put in that day, and then we'll be base fundamental. How you execute your scheme is what's about fundamentals.
Front row on right.
What went into the process of bringing Bobby Petrino on board?
Well, that was a guy we wanted to hire. A guy I've known.
Your previous relationship with him as well.
I've known him a long time. We've had great respect for each other, and when we talked, we thought it would be. After meeting and talking to him, we thought it'd be a very good fit for what we're trying to do and the things that we believe in and what goes on.
Right side, David.
Jimbo Nias talked about setting an example and having a certain level of excellence when he goes to every practice. Just talk about that, especially in light of how last season went.
That's what it's about. That's what any sport's about. That's what anything is about. It's about setting a level and then being able to not do it right, practice it till you can't do it wrong, and then being able to set that on a daily basis of how you compete, the effort you play with, the alignment, the assignment technique. It gets down to that simple. Am I aligned right? Do I know my assignment? That tells me my technique. Do I give great effort? Which then in turn allows me to have execution. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And being able to do that on a daily basis and have leaders that do that and demand that from their teammates each and every day and each and every practice of how you do things, and being able to process that information and move on and deal with plays that aren't perfect, but deal with plays that are perfect and being able to repeat them, being able to adjust to things, and being able to take the next steps that way. And the only way you take steps forward is execution.
Front row to the right, and then Travis.
Jimbo, last year you had Connor start the last 4 games of the season. Is it an open competition between him and Max?
Every
right now?
position is an open competition. That's what spring's about. Nobody has anything. I don't care what position you are. You got to prove yourself each and every day. Each and every day you got to go out there, and then the guys who play with the most consistency will be the guys that play. I don't care if it's quarterback, running back, OL, DL, safety, punter, kicker, snapper. I mean, all the way across the board. It's about one thing: competition. What is your competition, your ability to compete, and then your productivity.
And then you brought in 2 defensive backs, and Tony and the likes of Sam McCall from Florida State. What did you like about them on film to where they can fit? And also Tyron Smith, the wide receiver from Utah.
Both were guys that we knew from recruiting. Both were guys that we really liked, that have athleticism, and I think have chances to, they'll compete for starting jobs and have that I think can play at a high level and be able to execute. But, again, they have to go out and fall into the fundamentals and do things right and be able to execute on a daily basis. Yeah, well, Tyron may not be out there with us for a little while, and where he's at. I mean, we're in a situation, not a situation with him. He's debating whether he wants to stay here or go back, which just happens in recruiting sometimes on the transfers.
Third row to the left, and then Travis.
Jimbo, what is it about Bobby philosophically that you like about because of what he's done in the past and what he brings to this program?
Yeah, I mean, Bobby's an experienced guy who's called plays and done a great job, and he's got a really good foundation and fundamentals of football, which have great balance, whether it's running the ball, throwing the ball, and has been able to be very productive in the things he's been able to do.
How would you describe similarities and differences between you two philosophically?
We ain't got enough hours on day to do all that. But at the end of the day, we believe in one thing: execution. So at the end of the day, that's what it's about. An over route's an over route, a dig's a dig. How you get there, what you do, and we get so caught up in it's not scheme, it's execution, and then that goes back to how do you execute? Fundamentals: alignment, assignment, technique. No matter what you do, and if you want to know technicals, if you go watch everybody in the country, everybody does the same thing. Go watch a film. If you sit down and watch film, there's not a hill of beans between anybody as far as what goes on, what routes are, what plays are. It's a counter's a counter. A dig and a post is a dig and a post. Verticals are verticals. I mean, it's all the same. It gets back to execution and fundamentals.
Front row right, Travis.
I know there were reports initially you were interested in Bobby, and then he took the job at UNLV. What made you go back to pursuing him and wanting him for that position?
I didn't go back. I never left.
What was it about him that made you want him to pull him from UNLV from already having
Same
taken the
thing
job?
I did when I was talking to him at Missouri. I just never made a decision until then.
All right, and then how important is it to have Ananias and Damani Richardson back?
Very good. They have leadership, have a lot of guys. Him, Layden, those guys are great guys that have had a lot of ball and provide a lot of leadership. And that's what I've been excited about so far, at least in our team. I see a lot of older guys have been through the situations and went through, been on the 2020 team, which is the highest in 81 years, and then last year was not, we didn't have production. So, I mean, you saw guys that understand the difference now, and they understand it goes back to fundamentals. And that's what you hear from, and you see the leadership affecting the other guys on the team.
Go back behind the lights, coach, to the left, Tyler.
Jimbo, I mean, not only Anais and Damani, but a lot of the starters from most of the starters are coming back from last year. Does that make it easier when you have the experience when you're bringing in a new coordinator and trying to implement? Experience
is one thing. It's still you got to go prove it every day. Experience doesn't mean anything. I mean, you look at. There's pro teams that win a Super Bowl, don't go in the playoffs. Have the same teams back. Majority of their teams are back. Again, it goes back to what you do each and every year. I don't care if it's basketball, baseball. You see it every year. It goes back to execution, team. The camaraderie and that cohesiveness in which you get as a team, and then the ability to be hungry and push yourself to have a drive to get to where you have to have, and understand that no matter what you've done in the past, it means nothing to what you do today.
And then Nias talked about that 2020 team that saw the success, that said a big difference was the accountability on the players. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Availability and accountability is two biggest abilities you got. First of all, everybody says accountable. It ain't accountable. It's available. Are you on the field? Are you on the field, and then you're accountable for what you do? And that's exactly right. And that goes back to all the things that then allow you to be able to be productive and do all the other things. If you're not available and accountable, the rest of it doesn't matter.
Second row on the right. Olin.
I think he.
He answered. That's
He just
fine. We
answered.
can move on. Mark, or second row, then we'll go to Mark.
Coach, what went into the change at running backs coach, and then what made sense about Coach Blackwell?
Just things we thought we had to have it. Here, Markwell, our new coaches, Bobby, Markwell, BGA, those guys I think will do a great job on our staff. They've been productive. They've been successful. And I've known Markwell a long time. I think he's a really good coach. Gets a big picture, done a great job with backs, and I think brings some things to the table as a coach, a recruiter, and different things. And not that other guys we had here don't, but sometimes you have to make changes to get to where you got to go.
And then Coach Rushing, he's listed as defensive backs coach, and BGA is listed as secondary coach. How different are their roles? Is one corners, one safeties?
Yeah, BGA will be with the safeties a lot. They'll be the corners. They both can go back and forth and do both. They both know each, depending on game plan, what we do, how we do it. What you say, a lot of coaches can coach all the different positions.
Stay on the left front row, Mark.
We've talked about coaches changing positions. How about players changing positions? Are there anybody that may make a move this spring that you could look at another position?
I don't believe so. I mean, but pretty much similar to where you're at. I mean, DN's playing D tackle, D tackle's playing DN, a guard may be a tackle, tackle may be a guard, but we do that all the time with, and receivers playing, whether you're an inside guy or an outside guy. I mean, I don't consider that changes. That just move based off ability or what play you may run or based off their talent on that deal. So, no, not really from that aspect.
Front row on the right.
In terms of coaching personnel, is Damian going back to receivers, Coley to tight end? What went into that? And also Coach Adazio back for another year as well.
Yeah.
Your offensive line struggled big time last year, so what went into retaining him for another year?
Yeah, I think he's a very good coach, a very productive coach, and has done it for a long time, and I think he'll do a great job.
And in terms of Damian going back to receivers and
Just,
Coley
I
to
think
tight
what was
ends?
best is our staff bringing Marco in as a running back coach. I think we'll move. That was the best of our guys coming back, and what we thought our most productive group would be.
Second row on the left.
So help me out. So you hiring Petrino is going to help your execution. Am I correct when you're saying it gets down to execution? Whatever you see that he does comparable
It's
to
going to
you,
allow us some things. I think he's a very good coach, and I think he'll help us offensively. Yes.
execution. But so what?
And
What
that's
about,
what coaching is. I mean, at the end of the day, it gets back to being able to execute what you do and be able to be consistent in what you have to do.
yeah, just trying to see that you guys a little more comparable. So you feel the execution will be there better.
Well, hopefully, I mean, that's what we're here to try to do. Based off our fundamentals and our work habits and what we do on a daily basis, that's what we'll get back to.
And what about who makes the play calls? Would that be him or you?
Yeah, I mean, we'll go through that as we go.
Go back to the back. To
Plan
the
on him
right.
making calls. Plan on him calling plays. I have no problem with that at all.
Right side, back behind the lights, Coach.
Kind of backing off Tyler's earlier question, when you have the guys that are coming back, I guess compared to years past, how do you kind of see a young guy going through camp and see kind of the green flags that you look for that this guy's getting it and he's not just
you
back
grade
there
him
hitting?
every practice and every play is graded. You look at his productivity. You look at, is he lining up again? Is he lined up right? Does he know his assignment? Is his technique right? Is his production? Is the play a positive play or a negative play? Is he doing his? I mean, you grade him each and every play of each and every situation you do, and you see the consistency in which a guy does, and that's I mean, every play in which they do in practice and every play they do and whatever is graded, looked at, and then critiqued. What he did right, what he did wrong is explained to him, and his ability to adjust to it, and our ability to adjust to him.
Fourth row on the left.
Howdy, Coach.
Howdy.
So Anais was in here earlier and asked about if he had any NIL deals, and he said he didn't. He said that he didn't really care about the money, that he just wanted a ball. How refreshing is that to have one of your best players just wanting a ball,
Well, I think
especially
you got a
in
lot of
today's
guys like
day?
that. Everybody else makes a big deal of NIL more so than the players do. Everybody else become more of a news story than it is, and some guys get them, some guys don't. We have no control over that. They have agents or whatever they get, and if people come to them and give them to them or whatever happens, that's out of our control. So we don't worry about it, and a lot of those guys don't worry about it. I couldn't tell you everybody that has one or don't have one. So it's great for him. That's why Nice is always successful and does what he does. If you keep the main thing, it's amazing how productive and how successful you become.
Third row on the left, Sam.
Yeah, but when you guys you were in the process of the OC search, I think one of the things you mentioned back in December was that you would hope that it would be able to take some things off your plate and be able to focus on some big picture things. So has that happened? And if so, kind of how has your role changed in managing this
You're able to spend a little more time when you leave that room that things get what they need to get done, and the picture is getting to where it gets. You spend more time defensively, spend more time special teams, spend more time with players or issues that goes on, and like I say, recruiting, things that go on. I mean, it's a whole different game in the last 2 years because of NIL. I mean, because of those situations and because of communication and the way things are now. It's football has probably changed as much for a head coach in the last 2 or 3 years as it has in a long, long time. And what goes on in our game. I mean, it's just a different world now.
How would you compare kind of what your day-to-day role was when you first became a head coach to kind of what it is now as the game
It was
has
still
changed?
similar things, but the extracurricular things and people involved in things and what happens and all that different stuff is way different now than it's ever been. Way more people involved. I mean, there's issues and things, but it's just become more time issues because of it, you know, and your relationships on teams and players and all that type of stuff. It really has.
Front right will wrap us up.
Jimbo, last year, yeah, right here. Jimbo, last year, one of the players that benefited the most from Anias's injury was Moose Muhammad playing in the slot. Now that you have Anias back, will you potentially try and move his reps to more so outside to give him a few more chances?
Who's that?
Moose.
You got a lot of chances inside. Moose loves being inside. I mean, we'll move Anias around, we'll move Moose around, we'll move Evan around, we'll move Noah around, we'll move them all around. I mean, wherever, as they know the offense better, you'll be able to move them all.
And then when you look at guys like Evan and Noah last year who got to build that chemistry with Connor, what does that do for their development, especially going into the spring?
Well, I think not their development, their confidence. At the end of the day, you're talking about development, but at the end of the day, what gets the players is confidence that he knows he can do it and what he can do. And those guys have had really good off seasons too. I mean, seem to have worked really hard, gotten bigger, gotten stronger. I mean, seem to be in a great place. So hopefully we'll see it on the field when we get out there.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you.